We left off on Zayin Amud Beis. We just got to Ches. Just like to go over the Gemara a little bit from yesterday. Because there's a Tosis we have to learn. The Gemara had cited two brises. One brise says that if you bring a get that was written in a boat, and the river is in Eretz Yisrael, and you bring the get from the boat onto dry land, it's Kamevi Be'eretz Yisrael. Since the boat is located in the river in Eretz Yisrael, since Eretz Yisrael, the other brise says no, it's Kamevi Chutz Loretz. Someone says, what's the argument? So it's cited regarding Chumas and Maisers and Shemitah and Shvius that if you have a boat made of pottery and something's growing in the boat and the boat is floating on the water, Tanakama says that whatever grows in that boat, because the Zayin Amud Beis, because the boat itself is porous, so we say that the Yanika goes through the water, through the boat, so it's equivalent that the earth itself is being nourished by the riverbed, which is under the water. So that's Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Yehuda says no. If it's Gosheshes, if the boat is touching the riverbed, it's sitting on it, then the earth in the boat is the equivalent of attached to the earth of the ground. But if it's floating, then it's not. It's like it's planted in Chutz Loretz. So the Gemara wants to equate just as in regard to Chumas and Meiser and Shvius. If you say this Chutz Loretz, so since it's seen in that context, so even in regard to bringing the get, want to say Fonei Nechta. That's what the Gemara wanted. It was equating Shvius and Meiser to bringing the get. Okay, that's what the Gemara wanted to say. So one bryce is Rabbi Yehuda, the other bryce is the Chacham. Then the Gemara says they're both going like Rabbi Yehuda. The bryce that's going like Rabbi Yehuda, that it says Chutz Loretz, it's speaking where it's floating on the water. And the other one, it says Kamei Be'eretz Yisrael, speaking where it's Gosheshes. The boat was touching the riverbed. So just as regarding Meiser and Shvius, it would be considered Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, the get is being brought from Eretz Yisrael to Eretz Yisrael. One does not have Sipon Efon Nechta. On the boat. Everything was... Okay? Now, so, we're talking about Reb Zera. Reb Zera. That's what I wanted to because there's Tosa on Reb Zera. So Reb Zera wants to equate the boat, the earthenware boat, to an Otzes Nokov. You have a flower pot, but it's made of wood, and it has a hole on the bottom. Nokov means it's perforated. Something's growing it, and it's what? It's on pegs, on stilts. So it's not sitting, the bottom of the pot is not sitting on the ground. Otzes hamunach, Nokov hamunach al gabi yisedus. Bono machlokas Reb Yehuda Rabbanan. So he's equating it. Just as they're arguing regarding the boat, does the boat have to be, if it's sitting on the seat, on the riverbed, then it's like growing from the ground. If it's floating, it's not, and the Chum said it doesn't make a difference. So we'd have the same argument in regard to what? In terms of the perforated pot on pegs. Even though it's not sitting on the ground, we say that the nourishment goes through the air, through photosynthesis, goes straight, and therefore it's like attached to the ground itself. That's what Reb Zera wants to equate one to the other. Seems to be it's the same argument. Omer Rava. Rava says you can't equate one to the other. Dilma, maybe Lowy. Maybe it's not as you're saying. A boat which is continuously in movement, even if it's anchored, but since it's moving continuously, it's not stationary. That may disrupt the energy flow, so it doesn't go up. Therefore, it's considered not attached unless it's actually sitting on the riverbed. The flower pot, the perforated pot on the pegs, which is stationary, totally stationary, low, even Rabbi Yehuda would concur that what? That it's considered, there's a Yanika. And because it's being nourished from the ground, that's considered the equivalent of being attached to the ground. You'd be chayv b'maiser, you'd have to tithe what grows there, and it's subject to the laws of Shemitah. Well, everything is there. And Shabbos, you'll be in violation with Doraisa for Kotzer, if you should actually pick anything that's growing in that pot. Go ahead.
Question as to whether that, even though you're in motion,
Then he says, Inami. So therefore, maybe even Rabbi Yehuda would concur. Even Rabbi Yehuda would agree that what? That there is nourishment. Inami adkan lokum rabbono hosam. And even the Chachomim, when they say where you have the boat floating on the water, even if it's not touching the river, it's subject to laws of Meiser and Shvius. Elasvinot lo mapsik aviro. There's no separation of air from the ground. Why? The mayo ki arasamich damyo. The water itself is like the earth, the ground, which is thickened. It's an extension of the ground. Because physically, there's a medium which passes the nourishment through it, which is the water. Aval the otzitz, the mafsik aviro, where there's a hefsik, there's an interruption of air, space. So therefore, the nourishment does not go through the air. It's not able. You need a conductor. You need something to draw it through. Therefore, though, so Rav says it's not so simple what you're saying. Maybe the argument is limited to the boat, but the otzitz, either one could take on the other position. Okay? So, la'aloch, how do we rule? We rule, even though Rav is taking issue with Reb Zero, it may not be the machluk of Reb Yehuda and the Chachomim, but facts, do we hold otzitz nokuv? If you have a pot on pegs, and then you remove it and put it on a piece of concrete, on a Torah level, you're in violation of kotzer. You've actually severed it from its source of growth. Because since the pot is perforated, and by removing it, so whatever nourishment it has from it no longer has that, and that's conventional nourishment. Now when it's being nourished, it's based on the earth in the pot. That's not normal nourishment. That's not considered growing. That's abnormal growth. As we said, if it's a sealed pot, the Gemara says in Shabbos, and you pick something from there, on the Torah level, you're not in violation of kotzer. Because that's not the normal way something grows. Growing means it has to grow in the ground itself. Well, we rule like the Chacham, so that's not a problem. We rule the Chacham. The water is definitely a conductor. That is the medium through which it could. That's not. What about Avir? Rabbi wants to differentiate. Maybe Avir not, but la'alocha we rule Avir yes, right? It does pass. So let's see bottom tosis. Dimalohi ad kando kam Rabbi Yehuda kain hu emes. Here, the otzitz kimechuber. Here, if you have an otzitz where it's stationary on pegs, everybody agrees it's kimechuber. It's considered as if it's growing from the ground. The perka sholeach amina en kosem prusbel ela otzitz nokuv. Muklo demant chasichi. Mar speaks about writing the prusbel. This is to circumvent the shmita. You can write it on otzitz nokuv because it's considered the equivalent of karka. It's just dismissing. It's a dismissive type of comment. He's asking a good question. It says that if you have a clump of earth, and let's say it has grass on it, and you lift it off the ground and you put it on pegs, it says you're in violation of kotzer.
What's parpisa?
Parpisa means a clump, right? Parpisa, a clump of earth, the mantra aro, it's sitting on, and you lift it up, and let's say there's grass growing, but it's attached, and you lift it, put it on pegs, it says you're in violation of kotzer. But if we're saying that as long as it's over the area, which provides nourishment, it's still considered mechuber, so why are you in violation of kotzer? Still says that it says violation, that's midrabanan. It's not midoraisa. Factually, it's still considered attached. It's not considered a semi-detachment. It's still fully attached. Nourishment hasn't been lessened.
You wouldn't say that if the plant is growing in the soil and you took it out of the soil, roots and everything, and put it in a pot that had a hole in it. You would say that you were in violation of kotzer.
According to what Tos said, you would not be in violation of kotzer. Why are you in violation of kotzer? Rabbinically, you're not permitted to do it.
Because you attach to the cabinet. There was a time that was detached. He got put into the pot.
No.
Because he didn't have a pot. It was like
No, let's say you take it out, you're holding it over the ground, now you take a perforated pot and put it right in.
There's attachment. to the
There's
pot.
there's never a moment it was
You don't
detached.
need the pot.
He's not going to hold it.
Better than
He's
putting
not.
it down without the pot.
No, he takes it on the ground, he put it on the ground, there's no question he's not in violation of the code, Midoraiser. He's asking, he put it in the perforated pot. It's not a problem. There's a Chuvim Chassam Sofi said he said it when in his youth. He said it, the halacha is based on the Gemara in Bava Kama, and people have to be very careful on this, that, we don't cut down, Torah says you're not permitted to cut down a fruit tree. So the Gemara says, but what about, and a person cuts a fruit tree, God, Chas v'sholom, his children can die. Because just as a fruit-bearing tree produces produce, so what is one's pre? One's children. So the liability for cutting the tree, besides the law, is Chas v'sholom this. So people are extra careful. Let's say you're doing construction, or let's say a property, a person's a developer. So what does he do? He has a problem. He has to clear the land. Even though the Gemara says that if the cost of the loss is greater than the value of the fruit, you're permitted, but people are machmir to the nth degree, they don't take a chance. They will not cut the tree down. Even though there's a financial loss, what do? They have a foreman who's a non-Jew. They transfer ownership to that person. He goes with his bulldozer, just destroys all the trees, and then it's ready for development. That's what they do. They're very machmir. Okay? Everything. The land with the tree, and he destroys it. He's destroying his own tree. That's the way people conduct themselves. There was a story many years ago when they built the base measure in Baltimore. So there's a question to widen the base measure. When they built it, it could have been another 15 feet wide. There was a fruit tree growing towards the back. Rosh Baruch said they shouldn't do it. Even though they could have come onto this ploy, transferring it to what? He said he doesn't want it. And because of that, the base measure was built 15 feet narrower. Could have been more extended. Didn't want to rely on any leniencies, and would not do it. Would not do it because of this issue. So Chassam Sofer writes in one location that he came up with a kula, how to do it, circumvent the problem. What about if you take the tree out of the ground with its roots, and you could replant it somewhere else? So there you're not destroying the tree, because the tree could be is being replanted, and it's going to produce the same fruit elsewhere. He says, I said it in Mechurfai, in the days in my youth, but he said it's not so simple. Because actually when you take it out, there is a period of time, it's not growing. So the question is this, what about if you take it out of the ground, I'm speaking here, and you always make sure it's always over the ground. So there's always the degree of what? Of nourishment going into the tree, right? Let's say you have to move it 30 feet. You uproot it, just transfer it over the ground, and and replant it, not elsewhere. You put it on a truck, right? Maybe it wouldn't be a problem based on this Gemara here, because there's never a moment that it's not growing.
The way that they do it now, Rabbi, because there's a lot of distress to these trees when one uproots it. It's not simple that the tree can survive.
Exactly.
But they take a long.
Michael, you want to being informed about horticulture, okay? You know what horticulture is, okay? David wants to give you some information. Go ahead. Arborist, okay. Right, I know.
They take a huge.
I know. He says that too. They wrap it in soil. In soil, sure.
No, the soil is there.
Is
they wrap
it?
it in the sand.
Right, I know that.
And then they transport it that way.
So even on the truck, it's in the soil.
It's on the soil.
But it's a problem. It's not the same. Because that's like a pot that's sealed. You understand? It's not growing in the ground. What I said was, if you have it and you transport it,
Because
it's a sealed pot. One on Shabbos, you take it off the ground, you put it in a sealed pot. You're in violation of code, sir.
It's not a sealed pot.
What?
Canvas.
No, but it's on the truck. They transport it on a truck. But it's riding over the asphalt. Yeah, it has to be over earth.
Dirt road. I think we're off topic.
Yeah. Same thing. I mean, it's also livrach. No, that's what they do. You sell it to a goy. That's the only way to do it. You sell it to a goy, you don't take a chance. I mean, lahalocha, as I told you, if the loss is greater than the value, then you destroy the tree. But people don't want to rely on that because there's always, it's very sensitive and has very serious liability. So to really cover it all, they sell to the goy, and and they do every kind of kinyan, mum and chazok, everything under the sun, transfer it, he destroys it, and then it reverts back. He didn't want to rely on that.
Fruit-bearing trees,
Not a problem. Only
So they dug
fruit
up
bearing.
a tree by the shiva, transferred it to another
Today,
spot.
they have many problems. People, they buy fruit trees easily. The question of orla. People, the first 3 yields, you're not permitted to eat it. Fruit has to be destroyed. It's not even, can't even let it, you have to destroy it. Even a chutzler, right? And the 4th year, you have to redeem, like Ma'aseh Sheni. Okay?
Right. Can I ask a question? A little bit left field question. We were learning.
You see, you're putting them to sleep already. Make it interesting.
We were learning, we started this whole topic was like there's a little piece of land that's protruding, the Akko is next to it, so on and so forth. And then, so we basically went from the get that has to do with the Eidim and how if we can find Eidim or not. We came to agricultural laws that are like seemingly are not. How did we make this transition? Right? The reason why it's Eretz Yisrael versus non-Eretz Yisrael because it's Eidim, because of Eidim, right? Eidim we should find Eidim. That's why it's different. That's why it's relevant where it was written. But here all of a sudden we're speaking about laws of Shemitah and so on and so forth. How did we make this transition? I didn't get how we made.
1 second. Okay. I did address it. You missed it. Again, what we're concerned is this. Factually, if something is viewed as chutz la'aretz, for one thing, even though Shemitah and Maisa has nothing to do with it, they can be proficient. But if that location where it grows, it's not subject to Meiser and it's not subject to Shvius. So how do people view the location? It's chutz la'aretz for Meiser and Shvius, correct? So if you bring a get from that location, people say, look, it's chutz la'aretz. You see, you don't have to take. So people say, so you see, you could bring a get from chutz la'aretz, and one doesn't have to say fon nechtam. So because of this issue, they say, something, even though it has nothing to do with fon nechtam, but because people don't understand, therefore you bring from that location that people shouldn't confuse one with the other. You say fon nechtam. That is the basis. The other one says, no. What is Meiser and Shvius has no relevance to this. Factually, it's Eretz Yisrael, they're fully proficient. Of course you don't say it. So that's the issue over here. Okay? Simple. Okay, let's go further. Daf Ches. Rav Nachman Yitzchak Omar, and this is what Rav Nachman Yitzchak says. He says it has no relevance. Ben Nahoros there, it's so cool amalo pligi. If the ribs in Eretz Yisrael has nothing to do with Rabbi Yehuda, nothing to Chachomim, even though Shvius and Maisa they were arguing in terms of nourishment, but if the ribs in Eretz Yisrael, that's Eretz Yisrael. Nobody argues. One does not have to say fon nechtam. So we have 2 brises. One brise says yes, one's not. So what's the argument? Elo ki pli b'yam hagodol. They're arguing regarding the Mediterranean. What part of meaning up to the shore, everybody agrees. If you're in the Mediterranean and you bring a get from that boat onto the shore, is that the equivalent of chutz la'aretz? It's not. The question is, if you have mountains jutting out, we'll see in a moment, from what point do you measure to be considered so? Is it the top of the mountain, right? Then you draw a string across, and anything which within that string, that's Eretz Yisrael, right? Or is it from the bottom of the mountain, which is further out? When you draw the line, how much of the Mediterranean is in Eretz Yisrael, how much is out of Eretz Yisrael? We'll see in a moment. He's going to explain. The Tanya. Ezeu Eretz ve'ezu chutz la'aretz. What's Eretz Yisrael? What? Kosher shefei v'yored bituri amnon ulefnim. Whatever slopes down. Now Turi Amnon, Rashi cites the Yerushalmi, Targum Yerushalmi, this Harahor. Who was buried in Har Hor? Aaron, right? So if you go down to a lot, you're able to see Har Hor over there. That's where Aaron's buried. Right? And that's really it's the border. That's the border of Eretz Yisrael over there. You know, Eilat, it's not part, but over there. Koshveav Yor Beturi Amnon Ulefnim Eretz Yisrael. Beturi Amnon Ulechutz, but from that mountain going outward, that's Chutz Loretz. Hanosin Vashabiyam. What about you have islands in the Mediterranean? What's the exact status of those islands? Roanoson, Ki'ilu Chut Basuach Alei Mituri Amnon Ad Nachal Mitzrayim. There's a location called Nachal Mitzrayim. You draw a string from the mountain Har Hor until Nachal Mitzrayim. Mitachut Ulefnim. Any islands that within that string, Eretz Yisrael. Minachut Ulechutz Chutz Loretz. And anything that's beyond that line that you draw, that's Chutz Loretz. Review Dome Kol Shekeneged Eretz Yisrael Hari Eretz Yisrael. Shenema Gvul Yam Voilchem HaYam HaGodol. What is the western boundary? The Yam HaGodol, that's the western boundary. Ugvul Ze Yelochem Gvul Yam. What does that mean? The Mediterranean, that is the Gvul. It's not up to the Mediterranean, it's the Mediterranean itself, which is opposite. Okay? We'll see in a moment. We'll see how far out. Va'anosim Shibet Stodim. And the islands to the side, same thing. Alemi Kaflurio, Adyam Gvianis, Nachum Mitzrayim, Yam Gvianis, Mechut Lefner, Tzom, Mechut Lechutz, Chutz Loretz. Okay? So if you take a look at Rashi, Rashi explains it. You have a mountain, two mountains. The mountain slopes down. Do you measure from the top of the mountain? You draw the straight across. Okay? Or do you draw, the mountain goes down, you go all the way to the foot of the mountain, let's say it goes out into the sea. Right? Do you measure from there, so anything, so it's further out. So you have the Mediterranean between the location where it juts out into the sea, draw it across, that area is considered Eretz Yisrael, although it's the Mediterranean. Or it's only up to the Mediterranean. Any of the water, that's already considered Chutz Loretz. It's nothing to high tide, low tide. Okay, I'm not sure about the high tide and low tide. Well, if you measure it from the top, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. No. No. The top is the top. The tide never reaches the top of the house. No, the slope, the mountain itself is Eretz Yisrael. The mountain, we're talking about the Mediterranean. The water, right. So Rashi explains it. I'm not going to spend too much. Here, Kipli b'Yamagoro, Shutchum Marovo Shel Eretz Yisrael. The western boundary of Eretz Yisrael is the Mediterranean. Uplikta no ikelman diyom Svas Hayam hu Gvul. The edge of the sea, Svas Hayam, meaning the seashore of the Mediterranean, that's the boundary. Once you go beyond that, that's outside Eretz Yisrael. V'yam Gufei Lav Eretz Yisrael. The sea itself is not Eretz Yisrael.
And this is all for riding a get on a boat?
Right, exactly. Vehicle man diyoma yam gufei meretz Yisrael. The yam itself, the sea itself is Eretz Yisrael. Now, Ezo Eretz, Mikzoat Svonis Marovi Shel Eretz Yisrael. The northwestern corner, that's Har Hor. The northwestern corner of Eretz Yisrael is Har Hor. Ubetargum Shalmi Metargem Har Hor Turei Amnon. Har Hor in the Jerusalem Talmud, Targum is Har Hor. It's Turei Amnon. Nuchsiv Zeyil Lochem Gvul Tzofon Min Hayam Hagodol Tiso Lochem Har Hor. You go downward to Har Hor. Shema Min Har Hor Takua B'Yam Har Gvul Tzvoni L'Eretz Yisrael. The mountain, that's the northern boundary. Ustam Horim Mishupoim Heim. A mountain's just not a straight wall. It slopes downward, okay? V'yeshishipur rochov kimalach yom o yamayim. When a mountain slants down, it could slant down as much as a day or 2 days travel. Ukamat tana mehechon hi haaretz. From where do you measure the border? Mi regel hor o mi rosho. From the bottom of the mountain, where it finishes sloping down, or from the top of the mountain? Outward. Kol sheshaviv yored beturi avnu lifnim. L'tzad Eretz Yisrael. Dain l'tzad dorom havi Eretz Yisrael. The govar hu agvul. Hear this? What slants inward. So what do you measure? You measure from the top, not where it slants outward. You measure from the top inward. Mitravnu chutz l'tzad tzofon, but to the northern chutz loretz. Even though it slopes outward, it's the top of the. It's sloping inward is Eretz Yisrael. What slopes outward is not. So what do you measure? So the top going inward, that's Eretz Yisrael. Ba'nosim shebiyam. What about the islands? Iye hayam shebemayr vroson. Nachal Mitzrayim. What is Nachal Mitzrayim? It's a pasuk in Torah. Hu tchum Eretz Yisrael b'mikzoa marov is dromis. That's the southwestern corner. Umchuber li amagodel d'chsiv b'kvul negev v'nosav agvul mi'atzmo nachlo Mitzrayim v'yatotzosov hayomo nimtze Eretz Yisrael bein harahor l'nachal Mitzrayim. So Eretz Yisrael is between these two locations. Zem marov is tzvonis. One's on the northwest. Zem midromis marov. The other southwest. Hayom marov. And then you have the sea on the west. V'yishmokum shayam nichlas toch Eretz Yisrael. Now, between the mountains, the sea comes in. Mahalach yomim rabim. Bein harahor l'nachal Mitzrayim. Boseknisi ish nosim, and you have islands, right? In this area, we have the water. Bein mispashon l'marov toch hayam, and this is on the western. The sea's on the west side. Chutz mi bein mikzoos tchume Eretz Yisrael shein harahor nach Mitzrayim hilkoch roki kilu chud masuach misof harahor bimarovu ad nach Mitzrayim kol ma shebetoch mikzoos halolo Eretz Yisrael he umin achut lefnim is not okay. Rabbi Yehuda Omer kol hayom sheginag ava kol Eretz Yisrael. Okay, so that's how we're differentiating. Let's go a little further.
So it's still not clear. There's a drawing over here in the art scrolls, which what happens if you've got a mountain and a mountain and there's a bay this way? It seems that you
Outside the mountains?
No.
No, you take. Let's say you have the two mountains, and you say you only what slopes inward is that what slopes outward is not Eretz Yisrael,
Right.
but the bay comes in.
Right.
You draw a straight line across anything within that line.
From the peaks of the mountain.
From the peaks of the mountain, anything the base comes in, that's Eretz
It's
Yisrael.
like an A-root concept. It's like
No,
you
it's
put
not.
a
Not
string
really.
on the top
No,
of
no,
it.
that's no, not no. It doesn't
It's
function.
like that.
No, it's not. It's just to identify it. Sync has nothing to do with Eruv. Nothing to do with Eruv.
This is the border.
How do you determine the border?
Right.
So by anything within that line is within the border. Anything outside is outside the border.
How do you know that? How do they know to do it that way?
It's understood. If the border is the two tops of the mountains, and what slopes outward is chutz loretz, so anything within the mountains, which means you draw a straight line across within that, is
There's 100 miles between these mountains.
doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference.
It's not clear to me at all.
It's simple. Why?
How would you learn that? I wouldn't.
Let me give you this. We said earlier, there's a machlokas in the Mishnah. A border is never straight, right? So it says that the border, the way it goes in and out, you could have a community between two parts of Eretz Yisrael, and the community within that within that indentation is chutz loretz. If you bring a get from that location to Eretz Yisrael, it's a machlokas tatam in the Mishnah, is that the equivalent of bringing it Medina Sayyam or not? It's an argument in the Mishnah, okay? Over there, the Torah says clearly that the border is not, there you can't draw the line. Say the same, let's draw a line, because the Torah says explicitly, when you're dealing with a landmass, it's that point, not beyond that point. Here we're dealing, the Mediterranean enters within Eretz Yisrael, it comes within the border. The water itself doesn't have an identity unto itself. The Torah, so therefore, that's where we draw the line. So anything with the bay comes in, and it's within the both, and the Torah says you measure both mountains. Anything is within that straight line is Eretz Yisrael, because it doesn't have an identity unto itself. But when the Torah speaks of water, there is land. There's a landmass beyond that. That landmass beyond that has its own identity. So that's considered chutz loretz.
Question, where do you draw the line?
Because it says, what is the border? The border is the gvul. The gvul is the yam. That means, what does it mean? Does that mean the seashore is the gvul, or is the ocean, is the sea the gvul? That's the question. So even if you go beyond, it's not a problem.
It's got nothing to do with high tide or low tide.
The outer slope or the inner slope?
The outer slope.
No, the chutzlars.
So you have the mountain.
If you'd be able to cut away that whole slope, as if it would be just a straight wall,
That would be the border.
that's the border. That's the border.
That's the same that are northwest of it, so by the Mediterranean. It's not where.
Okay, let's go further. Rabbona hay gvul mayavdilei. It says, the Torah says gvul yam. So it seems to be the ocean. I mean, the sea is the border. The Rabbana says it's not the border. Mayavdilei miboile lenosin. You needed to tell me that the islands within are considered Eretz Yisrael. Right? We said when you draw the line straight across. No, because this is very what I'm saying to David. If you have the border, which is not straight, and you have a landmass beyond it, everybody agrees that's chutzlars. Nobody argues. You don't draw a line, say anything within the line is. Because landmass has its own identity. That has its own identity. Water doesn't have its own identity. So as long as it's within that line, that's Eretz Yisrael. Now, what about if you have an island in that water? How do you identify the line? Maybe the island should be like a landmass, which is beyond the border. Right? What?
Which side of the line?
No, it's within the line. If you would have a landmass within the line, that's not Eretz Yisrael. That's not that we have earlier, right? When the Torah speaks about the border is not a straight border. You have aku, part in, part out. Even though it's it's muvlos, it's absorbed within the U. Nevertheless, that's chutzlars. That's not Eretz Yisrael. So why do we differentiate between water and land? A landmass has an identity. Water has no value. So it's like subsumed by being within the landmass of Eretz Yisrael. So what about if you have an island in that water, in that sea? Do you look at the island like the sea, or do we say the island's a landmass? So that's what the Chum used the word gvul yam. That's to tell me that since the islands are within the water, in the sea, you see that's like the water. So therefore, if it's within the line, then you see that as part of Eretz Yisrael.
According to the other opinion.
No, so So how does review says? No, there are islands. There are islands further out, even beyond the landmass of Eretz Yisrael. Those islands. Wow.
According to Chachamim, you can have islands inside.
So that's what the Gemara says. According to Chachamim, it says the gvul yam. What do I need that for? What does that tell me? That's tell me the islands. That's very, so Reb Yehuda says no. There are islands inside and outside. The inside is understood. He says even the sea outside is Eretz Yisrael. Right? Where it slopes down. So what about the islands further out? He says it's understood. If the water itself is that, it's understood the islands are part of Eretz Yisrael.
So let me ask another question. Land is not flat. Generally there's undulations. So what consists of a mountain? There's a hill here, and there's a hill there. Do I consider that?